This is your Raj Day hot start to leaving the bottle behind.
Let me show y'all what I be doing on my summer days when I'm not busy. So me and my son, we go swimming every day, literally. I got my goddaughter for the week, so we stopped at Cajun before we got in the pool. This is black chicken and bow tie pasta. If you live in Columbus, Ohio, I'm sure you already heard it before. If not, it's on Bryce Road. One of my favorite go-tos when I'm...
Hey y'all, my name is Dee. This is my first shot, and I think I'm gonna be the drunkest. Hey y'all, my name is Nick. This is my first shot, and I think Zara gonna be the drunkest. Hey y'all, this is G.
Please tell me you didn't forget to bring your own Kvassier. Cheers.
Since our last interview, Big U and a bunch of Rolling 60s were arrested and charged. You know about this case?
Yes.
I know Big U personally.
You do?
He's been on my show. Who kept in contact? Cool dude. Nothing bad to say about him at all. Never a negative interaction on any level. I was sad when I heard this. What's your take on this whole situation? It's a 43-count indictment.
God damn, that's a lot of...
Since our last interview, Big U and a bunch of Rolling 60s were arrested and charged. You know about this case?
Yes.
I know Big U personally.
You do?
He's been on my show. Who kept in contact? Cool dude. Nothing bad to say about him at all. Never a negative interaction on any level. I was sad when I heard this. What's your take on this whole situation? It's a 43-count indictment.
God damn, that's a lot of indictment.
Yeah. Including RICO, including extortion, prostitution, wire fraud, bank fraud, tax evasion, just a bunch of stuff. And they try to tie him to a murder as well.
Right.
So what's your take on this?
Well, when you tell me that and knowing some of the details, it's like, and being a former law enforcement officer in the Department of Corrections, it's almost like law enforcement will let you get away with something for so long until they finally, hatch down on it. And then they got you on all these counts. Whether some of them are true or not, or stretched, it doesn't matter because there's so much crimes that have been committed and or alleged to have been committed that you're now going to have to fight for your innocence. I know they say you're innocent until proven guilty, but let's be realistic. I mean, I've been in jail 3 times and you're actually guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, I hope he pulls through it. But, I mean, he's in his late 50s at this point, and...
Vlad, realistically, social media has not helped any of these people in their matters. A lot of people talk an awful lot. And this is just me watching. I'm very careful with what I say. Maybe I may slip here or there, but I'm very cautious to not slip up. But I also try to live a good life where I'm not jeopardizing my freedom.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's reportedly representing himself after his lawyer quit, based on lack of communication and so forth. Have you seen inmates represent themselves?
I actually interviewed one that represented himself right out of prison, right out of a life sentence. And I said, how the hell did you do that, man? He said he went to the law library, read all the books, read all the laws, put together everything, typed up everything, and submitted it and won his case.
But he didn't actually go to trial.
Who's that?
The guy you're talking about. Or did he?
Yeah, he went to trial.
He went to trial.
Yeah.
And he represented himself.
Right.
I don't know how you would even do that. I mean...
I don't advise it because you really have to know what you're doing, which I don't...
Well, yeah. I mean, in the middle of the case, you can say, I object. And the judge will be like, no, you can't object. Like, that doesn't apply here.
There is that saying, the one who represents himself as the idiot for a client. Have you ever heard that?
No.
You never heard that?
No.
The individual that represents himself has an idiot for a client.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I would never represent myself if I ever got jammed up.
I mean, I know lawyers that wouldn't represent themselves when it came to certain legal matters. Because lawyers, you might be a great lawyer, but you're not a great litigator. And that will change everything in a court.
So just from watching TV, man, I know not to represent myself and to invoke my Fifth Amendment. And just from watching TV.
This was a debate on Twitter recently.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider Tupac an LA rapper?
Yes, I do. I do. I ain't gonna really say LA. I'm gonna say West Coast because really he started in the Bay.
Well,
I'm gonna say West Coast.
No, but the question is LA rapper.
He became an LA rapper, but he got his start in the Bay. We already know that. You know what I'm saying? If
You can go back to Baltimore, you can go back to New
but
York.
he wasn't rapping there.
Yeah, he was called MC New York, but nobody knew who he was.
But then nobody know he was, so I can't base it on that.
Professionally, he started in the
Professionally,
Bay.
he started in the Bay.
Right.
So I
And
would
that eventually led him to LA.
let it. He, because he really got courted on Ma Piru, which a lot of people know. You know what I'm saying? So that now you from LA now. So yeah, I understand the argument. You know what I mean? Because once you dedicate yourself to something, that's where you from. I don't care where you came from. But if you came and got put on, like if somebody came from New York and came to Compton and got put on my hood, you from the set now. You know what I'm saying? You gotta always know where you came from. Like, so yeah, I agree with that.
Well, DJ Yella
Mm-hmm.
was on the show recently, and I was not prepared for the comments that showed up under his videos.
Yeah.
Because, and you don't really notice it. Like when I do interviews, I kind of blank out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So when I rewatch things, I see it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that almost anything I asked, he just didn't remember it. He didn't do it. He didn't recall. And I guess the funny part was, we were talking about this before the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him what he thought about The Chronic. Dr. Dre's The Chronic. Certain people consider that the greatest hip hop album of all time.
Okay.
And he said, honestly, Vlad, I never listened to it.
Come on, Yella, bro.
Now you got a different story.
Yella, come on, bro. Like, why would you say that? Like, maybe he don't remember. Maybe he's probably experiencing amnesia or something. I don't know. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say nothing bad. But come on, Yella. Come on, bro.
Well, didn't you actually purchase that album with DJ Yella and listen to it together?
I didn't purchase it with him, but I know we was on tour, and when that shit came out, was it The Chronic? It might have been Doggy Style, so he might have a point. I think it was Doggy Style actually, because we was in DC. I remember. So in DC, they had these hotels with these bookstores in them, and some of the bookstores sold CDs. So I remember us like right when we was going out to go to the airport, we was in a 16-passenger van. It was like, hold up, Snoop album came out today. And back in there, stood in that line, bought that shit, and Easy used to have this little radio. It's a picture online with Easy in a hotel room with the Charlie Brown black and gray, and he got the little radio next to him. That radio, he kept it with him all the time. And we played, it was Snoop Dogg. It wasn't The Chronic though, it was Snoop Dogg. So we listened to that shit through and through and through. So I'm assuming I probably wasn't around during the Chronic period because that came out in what? Was that 91?
Yeah, 91,
91. So I came to Easy in 92 the next year after that. I would say Yella's probably prevaricating on that one. Because it's like, it's a diss. You got to think they diss Easy on it. Easy got to reply. You got to know what the fuck they're saying. Right. So it just don't make logical sense that he didn't listen to it, like, to me.
The comments.
Maybe he just don't want to get crossed with Dre, you know what I'm saying, or something. I don't know, because Yella play that role. Like, Yella is trying to play the middle.
Yeah, not trying to piss off anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look, the comments, I'm reading through them. Someone said, if I ever did a crime, Yella would be the only one allowed to come. After the police question, he said, I don't know any.
I agree with that 100%.
Where were you yesterday? I don't really remember where I was yesterday.
Yella, if I need to do something, we call you, homie. I need That's crazy, bro.
That's the
I just don't understand why he sat in the seat if he wasn't gonna answer that. Like, what type of interview is that?
I'm reading the comments. A deaf man is more music than DJ Yella. Vlad, what's your favorite NWA track? Yella, never heard of him. I've never actually met Dr. Dre.
Damn.
You know what? I've never actually heard a phone ring. So, what was it like growing up in Compton? I honestly have never been there before. I was off doing my own thing.
Whoa. Yeah, he put himself out there. I mean, you got to take what comes with it, bro. That's funny as hell.
I've never drank a glass of water in my life.
From Marvel Studios.
Who will keep the American people safe?
Be the first today.
This has makings of team that can feel the weak spots. With a little give it time. We are the Thunderbolts.
Can't call ourselves that.
Meet the new Avengers.
Yes!
Marvel Studios Thunderbolts: The New Avengers. Live now, only on digital. Little kitty toy not included.
We're a bicycle company, but we try to utilize technology in any way we can to keep us competitive. Gemini and Google Sheets helps us query our data, find data much faster. It's like having a superpower.
That's fucking up, bro. I've never seen the sunset. You know, that makes me feel like he was just around for the food. The internet just has the funniest people in the world.
Hey, them type of things right there be killing me, bro. Because when you set yourself up for them comments, they gonna wear your ass out. Swear to God.
If you ever do a crime, bring DJ Yellow with you.
Yeah. Damn, yeah, that's
And
sorry.
he sounds believable when he says, like, oh, okay, maybe he's never been a doctor.
I don't know what happened to Yellow, man. More power to you, Yellow. Much love, bro.
So anyways, BG Knockout, man. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having
being
me.
here, man. Congratulations.
I know we got a little heated, bro, on that subject.
That's okay.
That shit
I
touchy
can
to
take
me, though, Vlad, man.
That's
Because,
okay.
like,
I can
that shit,
take
it
it.
disturbs my heart, bro. I'm not gonna lie. To
That's
see,
okay.
to see the people in Gaza going through what they're going through, bro. I wouldn't want that to happen to nobody, to no Jewish people, no anybody, bro. I swear to God. Even the people that enslaved us, as much as that shit peeves my soul, I wouldn't even want to do it to them and their kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because my heart just ain't made like that. You feel me? So, you know, that's all I want to say.
I agree, man. Look,
Yeah,
my whole life, Israel and Palestine has been going through.
yeah.
We've been going at it. They've been shooting each other, killing each other my whole life. And I don't know if I ever, you and I have never really kind of jumped on this topic before, but I remember when I went to Israel for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
they were taking us around, kind of showing us important parts of the history. And they took us to this one square, right? And the significance of this area was that at the time, the president of Israel was a guy named Rabin,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rabin was a general in the Israeli army. So he was, front lines,
Mm-hmm.
active battle, everything else like that. He had been going at it with Arafat for decades
Mhm.
at that point. Both sides were getting killed, so forth. Him and Arafat got to a point, because they're starting to get older at that point, that they realized that if their grandkids had a chance of actually having a peaceful life, they need to actually start negotiating with each other as opposed to just shooting each other. So there was a famous meeting in America with President Clinton where the two of them shook hands on camera. This was unheard of.
Is that Camp David?
No, I think it's actually the White House.
Okay.
There might have been meetings at Camp David, but I think officially there's literally a video on the news of the two of them shaking hands. So imagine the leader of Hamas and Netanyahu shaking hands
Yeah.
on television.
Yeah,
Right.
something needs to happen, bro. Because
But I'm saying, imagine that. That's
Yeah.
the significance of it, right? So this was a watershed event in world history, right, at that moment. And there was now steps being taken to actually figure out and, give land back to the Palestinians and, make accords and everything else like that. But when you have situations like that, remember the whole terrorist conversation I had? There's going to be extreme groups that are not happy with it. So there was actually a group of Jewish extremists that were extremely mad that this was happening. So there was this young kid, he was maybe his early 20s. He was going around meeting with these sort of real right-wing rabbis, some of which were affiliated with Netanyahu. Like Netanyahu was kind of part of this whole sort of overall group.
Mhm.
And he would ask these rabbis, he's like, look, in the Torah, it says that if someone kills Jews, you should be allowed to kill them. So therefore, Rabin, with his policies killing Jews, should Rabin be killed?
Mm.
So the rabbis were like, well, yeah, in theory, I guess, you have a point. He should be killed by Jewish law. We're not going to do it, obviously, but yeah. So this guy got inspired to kill Rabin, an actual Jewish guy. So in this square, there was a big rally, and Rabin was walking through the crowd.
he killed.
And he got killed by an
Damn.
Israeli Jew.
Damn.
And then at that point, he got replaced by Netanyahu, or a Netanyahu type character, where the two of them shook hands. Israel and Palestine has been going through.
Yeah.
Has been going at it. Has been shooting each other, killing each other my whole life. And I don't know if I ever, you and I have never really kind of jumped on this topic before, but I remember when I went to Israel for the first time, they're taking us around, kind of showing us important parts of the history. And they took us to this one square, right? And the significance of this area was that at the time, the president of Israel was a guy named Rabin, right? Rabin was a general in the Israeli army. So he was, front lines, active battle, everything else like that. He had been going at it with Arafat for decades at that point. Both sides were getting killed. So I agree, man. Look, him and Arafat got to a point because they're starting to get older. Israel and Palestine have been going through. Yeah, it's been going at it. At that point, that they realized that if they, if their grandkids had a chance of actually having a peaceful life, they need to actually start negotiating with each other as opposed to just shooting each other. So there was a famous meeting in America with President Clinton where the two of them shook hands on camera. This was unheard of.
Is that Camp David?
No, I think it's actually the White House.
Okay.
There might have been meetings at Camp David, but I think officially there's literally like a video on the news of the two of them shaking hands. So imagine the leader of Hamas and Netanyahu shaking hands on television.
Yeah, something needs to happen, bro.
But I'm saying, imagine that. That's the significance of it, right? So this was a watershed event in world history, right, at that moment. And there was now steps being taken to actually figure out and, give land back to the Palestinians and, make accords and everything else like that. But when you have situations like that, remember the whole terrorist conversation I had? There's going to be extreme groups that are not happy with it. So there was actually a group of Jewish extremists that were extremely mad that this was happening. So there was this young kid, he was maybe his early 20s. He was going around meeting with these sort of real right-wing rabbis, some of which were affiliated with Netanyahu. Like Netanyahu was kind of part of this whole sort of overall group. And he would ask these rabbis, he's like, look, in the Torah, it says that if someone kills Jews, you should be allowed to kill them. So therefore, Rabin, because policy is killing Jews, shouldn't Rabin be killed? So the rabbis were like, well, yeah, in theory, I guess, you have a point. He should be killed by Jewish law. We're not going to do it, obviously, but yeah. So this guy got inspired to kill Rabin, an actual Jewish guy. So in this square, there was a big rally. And Rabin was walking through the crowd. And he got killed by an Israeli Jew.
Damn.
And then at that point, he got replaced by Netanyahu, a Netanyahu type character, and it never went back to that point again.
Yeah,
He was actually trying. So then the person got replaced, didn't want to negotiate. Then everyone was pissed off and whatever else. So then the next person didn't want to negotiate with Arafat, and ultimately we are where we are today. But there was an actual moment, and this is what I mean by terrorists are designed to stop the peace process.
Yeah. I get it.
Things start to happen, progress gets made, and then a school bus gets blown up. And then people say, you can't negotiate with these people, they're animals. They blow up school buses.
Yeah.
You have to ignore, if let's just say that was ignored and they went right back to the peace process, something could have happened significant at that moment in time.
I just don't think Hamas is that powerful. Because you got to think they're in a broken country.
Yeah.
First of all, their infrastructure ain't shit over there.
Right.
So they can be stopped like this. That's what I'm just saying. Like if they wanted to really smash them, I believe they can do it in a day or a matter of days. You know what I mean? So I think it's a reason to keep them going and to keep the other extreme side going as well. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
at the end of the day, I just want peace, man, for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
But
there got to be something, Black, because it just don't make sense. This has been going on since 1947, bro. It's insane. It's insane.
And here's the thing, that you're talking to someone who's actually been there.
Yeah.
And it's always lightweight tense over there. So, for example, you know how... I agree, man.
This is Buick. Now. Buick. Exceptional by design.
Get 0.9% APR on these 2025 Buick models. Plus, current eligible non-GM owners get up to $3,000 allowance on Encore GX.
I don't know. Have you ever walked into a mall with metal detectors?
Of course.
Okay. Well, in Israel, I remember in Tel Aviv, they have people that they're not checking for guns and knives. They're looking in their bag for bombs.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
I
So
understand.
you're walking to a mall and you're checking for bombs.
I understand, but if you've been bombed since your great grandparents was alive, you probably not all the way here mentally. You gotta think about that.
Yep.
So it's a lot of insanity over there. I heard the fucking dogs are schizophrenic, like the animals from all the bombs. I'm telling you. I've seen it and read it. I've seen videos and I've read it as well. So it's not a normal life for anybody over there. I just wish y'all luck, please, do away with the whole situation. It's just not cool to witness, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I hope it gets worked out.
Inshallah.
Yeah, I hope it gets worked out, man. I have a lot of, Muslim friends.
Yeah.
But
when you say that, it sounds kind of like, I got a lot of black friends.
Well, but you don't hear a lot of Jews saying it. You see what I'm saying?
I understand, but no, a lot of Jews do though. Because you have Jews who are against the extremist side of Israel.
I'm against the
that's marching with the They're marching with the Palestinian people in America as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do that, but I've publicly said, on the Breakfast Club and it was on social media with millions of people retweeting it, that I feel both sides wrong, and I'm not sitting here saying that one side deserves to be right. There's lots of part of the people in the middle who have nothing to do with Hamas or Israel. You know what I'm saying? That's the fucked up part. I think it's extremely sad that we're going to sit there and catch it. I
getting
think
worse.
on both
It's
sides.
getting worse.
On both
Like
sides.
sometimes I talk and I don't
But
understand what I say.
Unfortunately, it's a lot
I
heavier
just
on
wait.
the
I do like a
Castilian
little pause to
Right.
see
And I
the
think
person's
that's,
face to see
you know-
if they understood because I didn't understand what
You know,
I
for
said.
example, like, if someone
So
in
then,
Lou
like,
Van
now I
Nuys,
know
right,
how to
someone
read
Van
the faces.
Nuys
Right.
shot someone with Calabasas, you don't go blow
That's it.
Van Nuys.
Exactly.
You know, so you don't go filthy Van Nuys because you try to get one person.
Famous celebrities Wesley
So,
Snipes had messy
Ultimately,
affairs
the way
with.
they're handling it is
8.
bad.
Park.
It's also
Very.
Linky
creating
Park
a
is
lot of-
Wesley Snipes' current wife.
You know,
whom he-
a lot of people
Your
get
friends
upset
ain't your damn
at
friends.
Israel
They
for the
don't
way
tell
they
your
are.
ass you big.
So
Big girl,
it's
beautiful.
it's
You gotta
better
think about the
than
generational damage that comes from that.
The
It's
damage is also like at the end
almost
of the day,
irreparable, bro, at this point.
no matter how you look at it,
Over there trying to be a girl, nigga, make your ass dance to a song, dissing your ass. Trying to be a girl, nigga. Better quit that. Nigga make you dance to a song, nigga make you dance to a song, dissing you, boy. Or dance like a girl, ballerina ass motherfucker. Child molesting that motherfucker. Hey man, that nigga Michael Jackson can dance. Since Michael Jackson can dance, I don't want to dance. And that's just what it is.
We're supposed to meet our new baby granddaughter for the first time.
But our TV camera stopped working.
We'll take care of it.
okay, so you start as a judge in 1995, but then in 1999, that's when the Judge Mathis TV show starts.
Yeah.
So it's 3 to 4 years after that. Now, when you became Judge Mathis on television, did you have to step down from
Yes.
Judge Mathis, the judge?
Yeah, it was a big risk too.
It's a very big risk.
They told me 80%
I'm
of
recently
all
single. Any
shows
other
fail.
single people?
They say you got
Oh,
they say
we
you got a
outside
20%
tonight.
chance
Okay.
to make it
You raise your
after
hand.
you leave your
Yeah, how long you been single?
$150,000 job in 2000. That was
Oh, you talk a lot. Ooh, that's the reason why. I ain't got time for that long ass explanation. It's a comedy show going on. Starting to realize though now as I get older, I gotta humble myself in my dating goals. In my 20s, I was allowed to be optimistic. I had a long list of what I wanted. I wanted a man that was tall, dark, handsome, with muscles and a good hairline. But now that I'm in my 30s, I just want a man that's loving, caring, supportive, financially stable, and a family man. And I realized in order for me to have that my lifestyle requires a man with body fat. So now I look at life different. Every time I see a man with a little stomach, I'm like, ooh, he got a good job. Yeah, I get turned on by dad bods now. You know what I mean? Every time I see a dad bod, I know he eat, I eat, we eat. And I need that security in my 30s, you know? It's crazy because when I was in my 20s, I used to have a little fetish for six packs. If a man had a six pack, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have.
Going around, you keep going around the subject.
Charles's mother.
I'm Cassie's dad, Eddie. Your son's not here.
Let's look at. Can you get rid of the accent?
No, I can't. I'm very tall for a woman. I'm almost.
It was my first breakup in my adult life.
Girl, you too old for that to be your damn first breakup.
My first real breakup, yes, we were together 9 years.
Colleen, so your boyfriend name is Bob?
Bob?
Yes. Battery operated boyfriend?
But let me tell you something. I got news for you. A man's money does not equal spending it all on a woman. Understand what I'm saying? That is not why men go out here and get money. All right?
The Xbox handheld.
I like to tell her that my story had started before I was born.
Join us in wishing.
What does respect mean to you?
I heard you say,
I'm away.
So let's talk about fasting.
What is respect?
Boom, 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 boom.
All of that. Let me tell you something. Republican has put it out. Yeah.
Uh, 2 o'clock. Nah, man.
What is up, like?
But I am hungry though. Might as well. Let's see.
What is up, Mike?
I want from that. No. Yeah.
What's up, dolls? My name is Alyssa, and welcome to Love Dolls.
Yes, good. Lord. Free meat and fries with the minimum purchase of $1. Nah. Nah. Okay. You just want to be okay. Amen. Redeem. All right, redeem that. So I redeem. Okay, redeem that right there. So let me order first. Pick up. Nah. Pick up. I get it. Get it right now. Like that. Oh, it's it. Let's get that one. Large. So that drink. Right there. Yeah. All right. Take the bag. Then we go over here and redeem. need that. No, we don't redeem. Yeah, we're gonna redeem that. We're doing that. Yeah. Okay. Add order. All right. You gotta pay here. But you gotta pay that. I don't feel like going. So all right, so you might. That might be all right. 49, 55, that. That's this. Let's see, pay for it real quick. I got you.
Yeah.
Can I get you $20? I go up there and take it. I pay for it. I would they bring it in. Let's see, that's it. I ain't got 11,000 in a row. So I'm gonna see how much I was at. You said it counts. I see all of them. You said it counts. Mom, Al Carr got declined. Your Al Carr got declined. You'll bring me some McDonald's, and I'll pay you when you get here.
Why your car get declined?
I don't know. He said it ain't his car. He said car got declined. I don't know. It ain't my car.
What do you want me to bring you?
Well, I had this coupon thing for I had this coupon for man, I guess I'm gonna going up there, so I just got this fight. I got this coupon to get something. I got this coupon to get something, but I just gonna have this expired. So let me see what it's called. I don't get the wrong thing. Let me see what it's called. Oh, it's called let me see. Make sure. Oh, it's called a spicy McCrispy deluxe combo. It's called.
It's spicy.
A large spicy McCrispy deluxe combo. And so it said about the large spicy. It should be about well, bring the receipts and stuff like that. But large spicy McCrispy deluxe combo.
Okay.
All right. No, you bet. I get out of it. I can delete it. Oh yeah, make sure she was right. And give me a large high C.
All right, if they have it.
They gonna have this kind of drink to have. And, but I don't want no Sprite. I don't drink Sprite. I don't like Sprite. But So either a large high C. They ain't got a large high C, a large Fanta. I don't want no Sprite. Don't give me Sprite. They Sprite tastes funny up there. So large high C, or you're gonna have large high C or large Fanta orange. And make sure the combo large.
Okay.
All right. Nothing on you. Oh. Nothing on you, baby. Nothing on you. Oh boy. Nothing on you. Nothing on you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Did you say the large spicy deluxe combo?
Large spicy crisp, large spicy McCrispy.
McCrispy. Okay.
Large spicy McCrispy deluxe combo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, today,
Oh yeah.
say that shit. Film got graded. What's the breed dog?
How the max.
Beautiful girls all over the world.
not the summer for organic deodorant either.
Look what is happening in the Middle East. This video went viral. Midwife for
Yeah, stranger.
You like a
Danger,
motherfucker
danger. Man. Hello?
Come get your stuff out the car.
All right. I'm gonna pull it. All right. Yeah.
You food in the car.
Why are you in the car?
I can't pull. I thought you come back there and get it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. With your feet.
Man, look, I ain't even going. You better like, look, don't be out now. What you doing? What did you doing?
Lost your damn mind.
I ain't got time for that retarded stuff. Yeah, but I didn't tell you to give it to me and go give a food out the car. You start paying attention. What is it? I'm gonna receive them. Let me see. Who was scrapping around there? You both stupid. They were spicier than the one Triple H. Triple H probably does the same spice. Those ain't kind of spicy. It's hot though.
Yeah, this life is something I would die for. October's on, but it's looking like July 4. I just wish they let you try it first. This time I'm really going off. Fireworks.
Y'all got this beautiful male Frenchie. He's
gate we sold, I will be wrapping them away. The ticket's gonna be $39 and it's gonna be 130 tickets available. So if you wanna get a Frenchie, you don't wanna spend a couple thousand, it's your time right now to tap in. I'm taking cash out.
Now, why should you have pity on these people, man? Why should you? Because this reason right here. You see how you feel bad about those people? You see how you feel bad about those people when those things start happening to them? You see how you feel bad about those people? When those things would happen to you, they felt the same way. And you know what they did? They laughed anyway. You know what I'm saying? You see how you feel bad, right? They felt the same way. What should we do? And they laugh. What is that? You feel like that you gonna laugh? So no, they kind of retarded or slow or something. You know how I feel. You like, damn, man, should be doing. It's too hard for them, right? But did you know when they felt that way about you, they just laughed it off, and they could have said the same thing, but yet they laughed. And so you have to feel.
How can I get my 2-year-old to eat his breakfast?
You have to feel what they felt the same way. You have to feel what they felt the same way. You have to feel what they felt the same way they feel you felt, right? So when they was on top, laughing at you on the bottom of that, guess what? They felt bad about it, but they laughed, right? So therefore, you have to feel that too, but you don't laugh. This is what you do. Just get the scripture, man. It'll knock that devil out. This scripture right here. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 16. And thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them. Neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. No, so don't pity them, man. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you feel that way, just go to. Whenever you feel that way, go to Deuteronomy 7 and 6, man. Knock the devil out. You know what I'm saying? Because you would then know you're doing the right thing, you know, and you just let it be. But they felt that same way, man. They felt that same way, but yet they just laughed. Why would you laugh? Why would you laugh? In you know what I'm saying? The same way you feel, they felt that, but they just laughed.
Or asleep, and I'm just up. I literally. My mind just be wondering, like I really be up trying to think about my next move. I said before I'm 30, I gotta be at this amount. Before I had kids, I gotta be set. Like I want to make sure my kids good and.
Don't. The Bible says let us make man in our image, right? So they felt that they feel that, but it said they laugh. That's not something to laugh at, you know what I mean? But when you saw them, you know, like damn, you know, it made you feel bad, right? But they felt bad about it. They just laughed. It made them feel horrible, but yet they laughed. So therefore, to get the horrible feeling away from you, just get that scripture out, man, and just read that. That way they're finna fade away and you don't even worry about it. No? But they felt horrible and they just smiled. Now, what is that? You know why? Because they were wrong. They didn't want to go towards the Bible. But so that's how you know that's wrong. They want to read the Bible, but the Bible permits that. But you have to read the Bible. When you feel that way, read the Bible, right? And the Bible tells you that had no pity on them. If you're doing the right thing, you wouldn't be afraid to read the Bible. So then you feel that way about that's a pity demon. Just go read that real quick and then get it out. And you'll be all right. Move on. No, just move on. Deuteronomy 7 and 16, man. That's a great scripture. Whenever you feel the pity on somebody and they did, and those people did those things, you just read that real quick and then they go ahead and get it out. It'll get it out. But then you'll know, okay, I'm doing the right thing, right? And just move on.
really, really bad situation, you know. And I think that's something that, you know, a lot of people can't really understand in terms of how these things kind of work. But Microsoft has been very much, you know, in a bad situation for a while now. And it's just one of those type of situations where hope that they can kind of change things and get things moving in a little bit better direction than they currently are. Because, like, as it sits, it just seems like, you know, Sony has all the kind of juice and all the stuff in their favor. And I find that to be unfortunate because, like I said, I think Game Pass is a good service, but I think Game Pass would have been maybe not as good for the consumer if they all went in there day one, but it would have been better for, I think, the industry and stuff, and for probably Microsoft and those games, you know, maybe going into Game Pass a year later. Because if you look at EA Play, their games like Madden and stuff, those games all go in a year after launch. So, you know, they get the sales up front for the people that want it up front, and they still manage to sell pretty well. And then there's always going to be people that kind of hold off onto the back end and wait for the games to come out into the service. But, you know, if you really, really want to play something, you're going to get it, you're going to buy it. And I think you're going to get all that money up front, and people are still going to pay for your service regardless. I mean, Microsoft has tied in their multiplayer with that situation. So, you know, anyway, what do you guys think about Game Pass? I mean, obviously it's a good service, but are we getting lesser games because of it? Are we getting, you know, games that aren't fully optimized? Are we getting games that maybe aren't up to stuff? Well, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Grab Gamer out.
It's so endearing that this is my most recent acquisition, a marker and coloring book set, and I got them for the cheapest price possible from the TikTok shop. The colors of these markers are all very everyday and practical, and the coloring book patterns are adorable. If you're feeling stressed and bored, I'm sure you'll feel relaxed after 10 minutes of drawing.
The Tour de France is live on Peacock. Experience 21 days of the most stunning, demanding, triumphant journey in sports. Every stage of the Tour de France, live on Peacock.
So, you know, I always felt like this was a weird strategy from Microsoft. I was like, you know, why would a company want to kind of fool people? And then you just think, like, the more you see about it, I think Microsoft really does kind of want to trick people into, you know, buying their product and things like that, which I think is kind of a really crappy move on their part. At the end of the day, it's like you want to trick people or confuse people into buying your product. I feel like that's really, really crappy. And, you know, for me anyway, I think this is something that has tied into their idea of Xbox as a whole, which I feel is weird. The way that they've kind of handled this, you know, maybe you guys will kind of agree with it, maybe you won't, but you know, at the same point in time, I do just find this to be funny that they're okay with this, right? Like they want people to be confused, they want people to spend money without realizing it or whatever, and I hate that. So I want to get into this because it should be an interesting video, and people are starting to wake up a little bit to this. So let's get started. I'm Crab Gamer. This is Crab Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. I do daily gaming content, so if you're looking for fun yet informative videos about video games, hey, look no further than right here. So again, we know Microsoft is doing this whole, this is an Xbox campaign, right? Trying to mitigate the whole idea that, hey, our consoles sell like crap, but you know, you don't need that console because you can just have a TV or an app or whatever, and that's an Xbox. But the problem is, right, that only works if you can play your actual Xbox games, and you can't play your Xbox games on any of these things natively. So it was never more evident to me that Microsoft has given up on their own hardware when they started label slapping. If you guys don't know what label slapping is, like, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I'm the era of G.I. Joe and He-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that kind of stuff, and I collected all still have a good amount of my choices. Then, I saved everything because we never had like the most amount of money when I was a kid, and so I make sure I held on to my stuff. And but anyway, label slapping is something that usually happens like with toys and stuff like that, but it can happen to anything, which basically means there could be a thing that already exists, and then they would slap a label on it to a popular thing at that time. This was really something that happened a lot in the 70s, which I wasn't born in the 70s, by the way, but basically, like Star Trek was popular and stuff like that. They would take already existing products and slap a Star Trek logo on it, right? Basically, that's what Microsoft is doing. They're like, okay, we're going to slap an Xbox logo on these things, and then, this is going to be an Xbox. But the problem is, it's not. So, this is the thing. Like, in this article, it's pretty good. Everything's an Xbox, including this Meta Quest 3S. They cost $100 more and can't play your Xbox games. See, this is my biggest problem. How can these things be an Xbox, right? How can this stuff be an Xbox if you can't play your Xbox games? I think that's the biggest question kind of going forward, and that's something that really needs answering. Like, I don't see how Microsoft can answer that. I'm not talking about streaming, because that's not playing your games. That's really crummy, in my opinion, the way that they and I'm really worried about that. If Microsoft considers backwards compatibility just streaming your games, I think that would be a bad thing for everybody, and I definitely don't want to play my games that way. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. But again, it really highlights the problem. It's just like with that Asus Ally thing or whatever, and they're trying to call that an Xbox. Like, how can that be an Xbox if you can't play your Xbox games on it? I mean, I think that's like a huge problem. And going forward, we have to really kind of look at this and go, how can Microsoft rectify this or make it so that people actually want these things? I know they're trying to blur lines and stuff, but I think overall, what they're really doing is just lying to people. So, limited edition. If you guys didn't know, Meta Quest 3S, it's an all-black model with green inlays. It's an interesting contrast with the normally white-only VR headsets. But, there's something else about it that confuses me, which is why it exists in the first place, right? Like, why does this thing exist? This thing was already a thing. And now,
We started our own work. It seems like you got everything figured out. It's like always. We need a way.
He's the only person who could get under your skin like that.
Stop what you know. You just drove the train off the tracks. I'm not talking to me. It's not dealing. They know where to run. They know where to hide. There's always a cost for war.
For some reason exists. Anyway, so the simple answer is Microsoft has this whole everything's an Xbox marketing slogan that arrived last fall. Wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. The promise that the company would begin slapping the Xbox logo on anything that is capable of streaming. Game Pass, smart TVs are now Xboxes. PCs and handhelds are too. Why not bundle a limited edition Xbox controller with a Meta Quest 3S and call it an Xbox 2? The entry level Meta Quest 3S, 128 gig, is currently $300. The Xbox version will be $400, but comes with a limited edition Xbox controller in addition to the standard Touch Plus controllers and 3 months of this is Microsoft's words, everything you need to start gaming on a massive virtual display the moment you open the box. That's primarily because the Meta
If you take the sequel, they asked me about sequel, and I was like, I know sequel. I was able. If you pick me up, fuck a friend, it's time to vibe with me. I don't go outside, I be put up, but you can slide on me. He don't even cheat, cause he know these bitches dividing me. This big nature. I like a bitch.
We on screen right now. We doing a game in Mario Kart screen.
First, it'd be
though, stalker. Bella.
Hey guys, it's so old.
I don't know who needs to. I like my life. Hey, I'm fluffy. A little bit.
Coincidentally, the reduced price of Sony's headset makes it cost the same as the Xbox One's PS or whatever. So again, this is really a tough situation that Microsoft finds themselves in because they keep saying, "Oh, well, everything's an Xbox," but clearly you can't play your Xbox games. So does that mean everything's an Xbox still at that point? Like I don't think it is. And again, it's like these things aren't playing your version of the game anyway. They're playing like PC versions of the game, which is a terrible thing in my opinion. And this is something that I've kind of stressed in other videos as well. I'm not sure what Microsoft plans to do in the future, but at the same point in time, it's like I know a lot of people get their hopes up thinking that they're going to be doing Steam and all this kind of stuff, but for me, it just really does look like Microsoft is going to. There's two options in my opinion is what Microsoft's going to do. They're either going to release a console, just a regular console like they normally would, and also release obviously maybe an Xbox branded PC. And I think that that's something that they're going to probably try to do to make sure that they can have the best of both worlds or whatever. But I also think you cannot advertise the console as a console if you're allowing people to play PC games on it, because then it's a PC at that point. And I think that they're trying to maybe blur the lines or trying to come up with a way to say, okay, well, yeah, we're putting our games everywhere, but you can also play PlayStation games on the next whatever quote unquote Xbox. But to me, that only works if the next Xbox is a console, and they're not gonna Sony's not gonna put their games on an Xbox. Sony's not gonna care if you play their games on a PC because they put them on PC. But people are really kind of freaking out over this stuff on the Xbox side, thinking, oh man, we really got it down. It's like you could have bought a PC anytime over the years, and you would have been able to play these PlayStation games. Like that's like the big thing. So yeah, it is sort of strange to me that it is this kind of happening the way that it is. But I do hope that we start to see some kind of change or something from Microsoft or whatever, where they can put a little bit of a more focus on the console itself, because it does seem like Microsoft just doesn't care anymore. But what do you guys think about this stuff? Somebody like me, it's just like I'm a console gamer. I couldn't care less about playing these indie games on PC or phone or whatever. I think streaming sucks. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think though. Rack them up. Red Gamer out.
No, not even WhatsApp. Your personal messages. So you made these introductions. Stay pretty.
Greatness demands a trilogy right under my 11.
Sometimes doing daily content can be interesting because I'm always scouring the different gaming sites and things like that, looking for news. And to be honest, I often try to find like positive news, and this is a positive story. But just real quick, overall, trying to find positive news in this generation is tough. You know, before it used to be just kind of an easy thing to do, and you know, it was just like a fun thing to do. And now it's just like there's so much negativity, and I hate contributing to that so much. But it's like I understand, like as YouTubers, you know, people don't trust the media and they don't want to go to the traditional sites and stuff like that. So even if you people that watch my stuff, man, I sure appreciate you, and you know, I try to keep the things as positive as I can. You know, it's just unfortunate that all the negative stuff is happening like right after one after the other, and I feel like a lot of this stuff is brought on by Microsoft and their strategies and things like that. It just doesn't feel like they really care that much. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. But I want to get into this story because this is going to be a good video, and I'm excited to hear what you all think about it. You know, I'm Crap Gamer, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thanks so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel. Means a lot to me personally. You know, a simple like goes a long way. I do daily gaming content. You heard it right. On the daily, it's fun yet informative. So if you guys are interested in that, stick around. So anyway, you know, with all the stuff that's going on, Xbox has done a relatively good job with the game announcements and things like that. You know, they have. I mean, unfortunately, you know, there are some things that are kind of happening that you know that we can't control or whatever, layoffs and stuff like that. Maybe studio closures. But Microsoft did confirm that they're returning to Gamescom. Bethesda's going to be there as well. You know, that's good news because they can maybe do something, show something, who knows. And I think that's always good. They're almost in a way carrying the industry when it comes to that type of thing because, you know, they're going out there and making sure that they can do, you know, something when like Sony is not really doing much. You know, Nintendo's good at Nintendo. So, with Summer Game Fest 2025 and the upcoming game showcase from Xbox in the rearview mirror, the Xbox team is looking to its attendance at the next big gaming event. Xbox confirmed the Gamescom 2025, which is August 20th through 24th in Germany. The announcement comes through a post, and there aren't many details at the moment, but we do know that Bethesda Softworks will also be attending with the Xbox publisher, confirming its presence on X. Blizzard Entertainment will also be headed to the annual German gaming event, with World of Warcraft team presenting Midnight, the next chapter in the World Soul Saga that the first outlined during BlizzCon 2023. According to the team's announcement, World of Warcraft will include 5 days of non-stop community celebration with a cosplay showcase that offer meet and greets and more. This comes on top of the news for the World of Warcraft Midnight that will be shared during the show itself. So who else is going to be there? Well, guess what? It looks like it's going to be Xbox Team Touch Media Project, but it's difficult to say. Will be present at Gamescom with Bethesda Softworks in attendance. It can be narrowed down a little bit. Bethesda and Machine Games shared a first look at the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle DLC, the expansion, Order of the Nut Giants during the Xbox Game Showcase, so maybe we'll see more. There's also promised campaign DLC for Doom: The Dark Ages, though it wouldn't be surprising if this first unveiled had a stream accompanying the hit software-focused PlayCon 2025. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, showcasing what Microsoft is doing. And again, like anything that they can do, showcasing, hey, we've got some games, we've got this, we've got that. I think that's always a good thing for the industry, a good thing for gamers. And, you know, just nice to see that, you know, there's some stuff going on. It's like there is some positive news out there, considering that, you know, Microsoft went out there and bought, you know,
That's our best time.
Microsoft has, you know, the ability to go out there and get these, make these announcements and things like that. But also, you know, that could be part of the reason why we're seeing so many layoffs and so many issues right now in the gaming industry. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. First, you know, I hope Microsoft gets everything together and makes sure that, you know, we all have cool stuff to play and whatnot. But to be honest with you, like with everything that's going on right now, it's hard to really focus on the positive, you know, and that's a shame because I do feel like there is some positive stuff to be had there, you know, but it's just like every now and then, you know, and I try to, I'm more of an Xbox gaming person, but it's like, you know, no matter what side I look, it's like Xbox is abandoned physical media, Xbox is getting ready to lay out people, Xbox is closing studios, Xbox is, you know, pulling out of territories, Xbox, you know, it's hard to really kind of like, I mean, I can understand why some people, you know, there's going to be all kinds of different influencers, and God bless them, you know, I was like the diehardest Xbox guy you could ever meet. I still have, I think, like my collection and my stance haven't really changed that much compared to some. Like some of the Xbox influencers, you guys have probably noticed, they're like mostly PC users now, right? It's like for me, that's never been a thing. I've never been a PC gamer. I've never gamed on PC. I've always just been console, and so I always thought that was a little bit more of the kind of real deal when it came to being an Xbox guy. You know, I'll never look at a PC as an Xbox. I'll never look at it as a streaming stick as an Xbox. I'll never look at it as an iPad as an Xbox or whatever the case may be, or a phone. You know, an Xbox is an Xbox console. You know, there's no such thing as a hybrid Xbox. So it's just like, you know, I always thought that I got way more Xbox stuff and way more Xbox games and stuff than the average, you know, influencer or whatever. And a lot of influencers just go whatever line Microsoft says, and I don't really do that. You know, I think, hey, finally they got some games or whatever, which I think is good, but it's like the things that have happened and the cost and the brand is really just blows my mind, to be honest with you. So, you know, I don't necessarily understand everything that they're coming from or everywhere that they're coming from. I just hope that, you know, at the end of the day, we see, you know, some good things for gamers, you know, and like right now, I think the best thing that we can hope for as Xbox fans is just getting some good games, you know, because that's pretty much what we're down to. You know, I'm not really sure how Microsoft is going to, you know, handle the future console. I'm not sure how Microsoft is going to handle, you know, anything really, but it is nice to see that, you know, the games are finally coming out for all these years, and, you know, it's like always wait till next E3, wait till this, wait till that, and now we see that, you know, at least some of the games are coming into fruition, and I think that's really cool to say the least, and, you know, good on Microsoft for doing that. You know, I wish that it would have been not so bittersweet or whatever, but, you know, that happens, you know, and gaming industry is like pretty much anything at this particular point. We don't really know when, you know, when things will change or whatever. Like Microsoft has a tendency to want to try and I don't think that really works out. I mean, just look at the Xbox One, and you know, it can be really, really kind of a negative thing and bad to see that. And you know, again, like I said, I don't want it to all sound like Xbox because in general, I think PlayStation has had a really, really bad time as well. In general, you know, they've closed down studios, had massive flops like Concord. You know, they've done a lot of things that have been bad. I mean, they single-handedly outgrew Bungie, in my opinion. You know, their studios have been a shell of their former selves, so I don't want you to think that this is just a straight Xbox hate thing or whatever. You know, because I definitely think like Xbox at least has some games, even though they're multi-platform, whereas Sony has had very little in terms of real first-party stuff. I mean, even Naughty Dog hasn't released a single game, and maybe won't release a single game this entire generation. So, you know, maybe they'll probably release something, that intergalactic game that's a cross-gen something or other. But realistically, Naughty Dog has really fallen off, and you know, it's just like they haven't really done much either. So it's really hard to sit there and say that this has been for watching. Rack him up, vac him up, rep gamer him up, rep gamer up. Both Beach Gobblers back for the summer. Order this sweet treat today. It's both times.
The last few days have been filled with speculation about what is happening at Microsoft and what could happen in the future. One person claiming to have insider info has discussed that the situation is far from over and that we should expect more like what we've experienced and learned over the last few days. Jez Corden also commented on the situation, saying Microsoft CFO Amy Hood has given Xbox an utterly unrealistic financial requirement that is going to continue hurting the division. This isn't over. Tom Warren disagrees, but the fact of the matter is we have other people claiming the same thing and that this is far from over. So all of this began as a somewhat credible leaker, Sneakers SO, posted the following over on NeoGAF. Now, I know if you'll humor me, we're actually going to go through and see what this user said because it was picking up a little bit of traction online. But tinfoil hats on, I always report this stuff as rumor. Even if Jez is leaking it, or anybody who you think might be credible, I always report this stuff as rumor because we never know what's real and what's not. But let's have some fun and dive into this. He said, if folks knew how bad things actually are, we're going to get into what his claims are in just a second, but here's a little taste. The contingency plan for projects that are making it out the other end of this is to supplement the loss of manpower experienced by training management of all levels on proper application of Copilot/ChatGPT, videos on how to prompt LLMs for asset and potential workflows are being produced as we speak. In layman terms, the expectation is the surviving projects will come out on timetables now at lower budget levels and at quality levels that were established before the cuts. Also, this is not the last round of layoffs for Xbox Game Studios by a long shot. Now, unfortunately, I have to agree with him on that front. I don't think this is the end. Microsoft has indicated that we are going to hear more in the weeks and months to come. So, unfortunately, we will hear more about this. Now, let's hear from the sponsor of today's video. You know what I like? Added protection. And with the sponsor of this video, Surfshark, I can browse the internet while keeping my online security and privacy intact. Surfshark is an award-winning VPN that helps secure your connection 24/7. Keep your data private and can go a step further to protect your devices with their Surfshark antivirus protection. Traveling and using public Wi-Fi, your data can get exposed, but Surfshark can help prevent that from happening, going so far as to notify you should your data ever be discovered online. And because you can have access with unlimited devices, they will always have you covered. If you want to try it out, you can do so by using my unique code or by clicking the link in the description below. Just go to surfshark.com/Destin or use code Destin at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. So give it a try and add the Surfshark level of security that you deserve.
What is this place? What's up, guys? You were the last to see the president alive. Welcome to the day. Light him up now! A crew of pirates is coming. Oh, that's all.
On my night, I swear to defend you. Flame High! Great things will drastically change for the better. I totally forgot about being a villainess. I'd like some of my bodily feelings slip out. Now, here's the crazy thing about this whole story, and a big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Unfortunately, I'm a little less excitable right now. Here's what he said about the profitability of the company, and honestly, this sort of checks out. I've been told in clear terms that outside of a few quarters in the second half of 360's life cycle, the only time Xbox has operated at something resembling profitability was after Activision Blizzard King's earnings were integrated into their reporting. As somebody who follows the financial reports of Microsoft quite closely, that's actually true. I think there was maybe only one quarter where there was a decrease year over year, but that actually checks out which would mean Xbox has largely been safe because they purchased Activision Blizzard. Let's continue reading what he says. It's not hyperbole to suggest that Xbox as a division likely would have become simply Microsoft Gaming as a brand and had all of their hardware positions folded over with a handful of software systems in Mojang here remaining on the studio front had the Activision Blizzard King merger not gone through. Based on the numbers I've had, I think the future of Xbox overall is likely a combination of a handful of teams at the tier of Blizzard, COD, and Minecraft, with a slow bleed of every other team and studio slowly dying off as layoffs and budget cuts reduce everything as time marches forward. Now that's quite a pessimistic outlook. I would be quite shocked if they managed to do that, but then again, I am quite shocked given the news that we've been hearing about today, because it means that the layoffs are going to get not just bad, they're going to get way worse than what we've seen today. So time's going to tell on that one, but I certainly hope he's wrong in that assumption. The reason why so much effort is being poured into maintaining the charade is because there's a 10 to 20 million user base of very die-hard users who all have an absurdly high likelihood of maintaining their higher tiers of Game Pass subscriptions through this. They want to maintain that revenue stream as long as possible. Will they, over time, restructure Xbox into a far leaner endeavor that focuses on a handful of mega projects? Now, honestly, I don't think that's the worst idea, but restructuring equals firing a lot of people. And as we was hearing the other day, mega franchises, even like Forza Motorsport, are not safe. These cuts are going to go on for a much longer while, and the sad part is, if the gaming community finally said enough is enough and just all chose to divest, and to be honest, it's hard to argue if we're not already there, given how returns have been outside of APK. The last couple of years, Microsoft would just expedite the process and close off even more teams now. To them, whether someone like 343, now Halo Studios makes Halo versus just outsourcing it out, is just semantics to them. Plus, Halo hasn't been Halo's from the bottom their way out. Microsoft is never going to have the come to Jesus moment that media mouthpieces keep claiming just around the corner for the team for Xbox. And yeah, it has certainly felt like, oh, this time's going to be the time before you get a split kick in the nuts like you did with all these layoffs. So I absolutely hear where it's coming from on that one. And on 343/Halo Studios, where that's video has become, there have been a lot of insider reports that state that they have had a lot of freelancers working on Infinite, and that has created major problems for them. So I have to wonder if the full-time employee versus freelancers are hitting a tipping point internally. Granted, keep in mind, this is all just tinfoil hat theories at this point. And here's the one that sort of gave him a little bit more credibility in my mind. He said the following: Wednesday at 3:11 p.m. when it begins to come out just how epic and incredible the title he was working on was that got axed today. That game had some of the best reactions from folks who played it as playtests for an MP-focused title that I've heard from in years. It takes an absolute truckload to have folks keep praise on an MP playtest in modern times. This game would have been spectacular. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. That typically in situations where publicly known games get canceled, there's this sense in the fan base of the timing we didn't get might have been so incredible, and finger pointing among execs who just didn't get it, FOMO and all that. Well, this is one of the canceled games that by literally every account sounded like it would have been a slam dunk in literally every sense. Feels like I should make an edit to clarify it a little further. So, when did he post that? He posted that Wednesday at 3:11 p.m. You know what came up the next day from Jason Schreier? Xbox executives were blown away by an upcoming game, then they canceled it. So that added a lot of credibility to the things that he had said thus far. And this person who has been leaking stuff, I actually looked him up. He had made some predictions before about Xbox games being ported, and he said that the console work was over in 2023. He said all of them. I know several high-profile Bethesda titles. This port work started up a few months ago. I also have some knowledge on AVP in general. Not a single project that was in depth or that had gotten an initial approval to have an exploratory milestone achieved has had a single discussion on exclusivity. I also know of several titles that fall squarely under Xbox Game Studios, titles that have yet to be announced, that now are doing PlayStation and Xbox Switch 2 development. Console wars are basically over. The public doesn't know it yet. That was in 2023. So that was before Indiana Jones was announced as coming to PlayStation. That might have even been before they announced the 4 games. And this same person also claims that, Phil was against releasing on other platforms, and that basically we should expect Halo and everything else to eventually make their way to PlayStation. Something that at this point, and in my interview with Phil in January, he seemed to indicate that there are no more releases. He continues on just talking a little bit about the console and where we're going. I don't feel like anyone has really dived into the business realities of this device, speaking of the handheld, both for the device itself and for the expectations the team Xbox is placing on this, and what it actually means for the Xbox platform. From what I have gathered, I think if anyone thinks that Xbox or Microsoft themselves expect this thing to take off along it as that comes in here and now, then again, it's not about the handheld, it's about the future. The Xbox OS, and by extension, Xbox as a SKU in general, has always been at odds with Windows as an operating system. SteamOS and the advent of PC handheld devices changed all this. Steam Deck, more specifically SteamOS, is honestly positioned to basically steal from Microsoft this massive PC user base that depends on an operating system to run their games. This SteamOS stuff is something I added last year, but hearing about this as a potential threat has only increased in recent times internally. So why go this route then? It's a simple answer. It's basically an effort to gradually kill off the Xbox OS /line of releases. It'll be the first console from Xbox where you don't have to produce an Xbox OS game in order to be available on that platform. Now, I believe he's talking about the handheld, the future console, but he used the word console, so I'm sure everybody's going to be all wrong about that. Continuing on, though, I just wanted to show how much gaming brings in.
This is our it's not family friendly. Stars, I'm not Stars, we're all adults here.
So here's the website I found. They just did a nice little graph for the 2024 report. Windows, for some context, brings in $23.24 billion, or accounts for 9.48% of the company, and gaming counts for $21.5 billion, 8.77%. So they're already making comparable revenue to what the Windows platform does. Where does most of the revenue share by segment come from? 40%. Server products and tools are $97.73 billion. We have a Windows Office system bringing in $54.88 billion, and then we have these other segments, Windows and gaming, coming in third place. So the fact that Satya Nadella is willing to basically say we have to cut into gaming and we have to do layoffs, and Phil Spencer obviously doesn't. Phil, Matt Moody, and Sarah Bond don't get a pass in that realm, so make no mistake that they are also held accountable, because these decisions are made by upper management, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with Sancho when it comes to saying, we need to downsize, we need to spring this company. You're talking about a segment of the company that is basically what the fourth largest segment of the company, and the strategy seems to be, like this user points out, to fold Windows and Xbox together, which I do think will streamline and make for some interesting content in terms of what we're able to play across devices. But also, it might be a smart move. Unfortunately, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in my opinion. Valve is poised to turn SteamOS into something that basically upends the Windows OS game paradigm. And he continues on, he talks about, like, why did he buy Activision? And he basically says there's a lot that can and should be said about what went down about Xbox, with Xbox after ABK was allowed to go through. Many were too focused on coding and more wanting to sell, and how profitable it was, and not what ABK themselves felt about where the direction now went. And then many folks conflated the sale going through due to the civil and potential criminal cases. And while it was a contributing factor, the larger issue was that ABK as a publisher was on the other side of their crested wave and the board knew it. Bobby Kotick, for all the bad things people say about him, was not a stupid businessman. Maybe he knew that all of this was about to come crashing down and he wanted to get his parachute down. So that adding factors of everything else, I don't think he's that far off with his assumption that this is going to happen. This was going to happen. There are a lot more threads that where he goes into, like the fact that he thinks the Western market is going to go through a very tumultuous time. He does think that a lot of the efforts are going to basically be towards the Xbox OS wrapper being put forward. And overall, a dour look saying as far as like nobody's safe basically at Microsoft, and especially in the game development side. I did make a post yesterday commenting that I'm a little surprised that hardware didn't get hit, because during all the earnings calls, they repeatedly talk about how hardware is hit. But the reason I highlighted this is the Bethesda game before Schreier did, which kind of surprised me, and he's had some cool calls in the past. And what the picture he's painting is quite concerning. So already, I don't feel like I can trust Phil Spencer or Satya Nadella or anybody basically at Microsoft to put forward a plan that sticks. Phil Spencer saw this game months ago and then unceremoniously canceled this massive project that Matt Moody was basically saying, hey, we need more people on this project. We're funneling people into this project so that we have more hands on deck because we really believe in it, and then it's dead. Everwild makes sense. Perfect Dark kind of makes sense, even though we're hearing that that game had positive momentum. But this Bethesda game, the team that does ESO, that continually brings in capital, and it's just churning along like nobody's business, bringing the company a ton of money, isn't allowed to take a shot at another game. I don't understand when your target's 2028, like really you had marketing coming up, and then launch, and then support, I suppose. Like, they don't want to invest in new IP like that. They just want to keep their head down. Maybe they saw such a profit margin of the Elder Scrolls remake, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which was great, by the way, that they want to make more stuff like that. I don't know. I'm very uncertain about the whole future of Microsoft, and I wanted to share this particular post with you today. And let me know your thoughts about this. Is this nonsense? Is this just, a NeoGAF thread and nobody should be on NeoGAF or whatever, even though that this leaker has had a few W's, so to speak. I don't know if you want to call them W's, but correct predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so all my content goes live. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much to the members, Chris Brady, Bill Rubens, Regular, and Aries EMS. Thank you so much for watching, as well as everybody else. If you want to support my work on this channel, you can do so at patreon.com/SafeStatePlus, or you can click that join button right there to become a member. If you want to see what happened with the earlier story, the one I reported yesterday, you can check it out right here. It's more about what has been transpiring since all of this kicked off. Learn more about Project Blackbird right now. And I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now. Love you.
Some won't let anyone mess with their barbecue, while others just snack on it. Your shortcut to great barbecue.
Hi, where are you? I can't make it. I have a board meeting.
At BMW, tech sprints, busy with a performance review.
Not to make it today. Yeah, I'm actually working with a new trainee.
This summer, make your own plans and you can play by the mission. Find your voice to the BMW Summer Sales Match on that. Advantage central office.
So the layouts at Xbox and Microsoft continue. This is where they impact 4% of its total workforce and largely impact Xbox's gaming division as we get reports that more and more studios are going to be affected. So, real quick, we know that High Noon Studios have been affected by these Xbox layoffs. This is being reported by Insider Gaming. Here's what they're saying. High Noon Studios, a developer assisting in development on Call of Duty Warzone and other projects have been affected by the latest Xbox layoffs. Charlie is almost the first report on the layoffs on social media. Founded in 2021, High Noon Studios was acquired by Activision in 2008 and was part of Microsoft purchase in 2023. Since its founding, the studios worked on Call of Duty, Destiny, and Transformers. You might remember they did work for Cybertron and they worked on Destiny 2 Forsaken, one of the best Destiny expansions basically ever made. So that just is what it is. Microsoft has not responded to any request for comment on the layouts, game cancellations, or studio closures. Should any response be received, it will be added to the story and others. In addition to that, we did get some updates in terms of what studios will be impacted and what games overall will be impacted. I can corroborate that a source close to the situation provided that every game featured in Xbox Games Showcase in June is continuing on, and that is from Phil Spencer's note. Let's read Phil Spencer's note again, see if we have it here. You can also check it out in my original video. This one's actually from Matt Booty, when he announced that they are actually stopping development of Perfect Dark and Everwild, as well as winding down several modern out projects across our portfolio. As a part of this, we're closing Warner Studios initiative. Now, for a long time, I had reported that the initiative had seen turmoil, had seen issues for various reasons. There was a long-standing UGC article that collected the number of departures from the original staffing announcements, and basically that studio wasn't looking that great. If you remember, Square Enix actually had to step in and assist with the development of Perfect Dark. But what I don't understand is why 1 year ago you would spend all that money making a trailer showing what Perfect Dark planned to be, a trailer that may have just been spoken years based on rumors going around the internet, and get people hyped up for it. What's the point? We all knew that studio was in trouble, and then we decided to get everybody excited about a project that would be canceled just a few months later. What's worse is back in February, Phil Spencer quoted in an article saying that Everwild was going to get all the time needed to come to completion. That was in February. It's July, and now Everwild is done. It has been canceled. Let's continue on because there's also reporting about Turn 10. Forza Motorsport developer has been hit hard by Xbox cuts. I'm hearing more than 70 people will be let go at Turn 10. Also hearing that Microsoft has canceled Perfect Dark. So this was reported earlier in the day, but I didn't read the article just yet because so much has happened. Microsoft announced layoffs today, affecting as many as 9,000 employees, and as part of the changes, more than 70 people will be let go in esports and motorsport developer Turn 10 Studios, according to a source familiar with the situation. The cuts were made on a call to Microsoft HR representatives this morning and are hitting the vast majority of the studio. One source described the layoffs as leaving enough people behind to keep Forza Motorsport up and running. Managers at Turn 10 didn't discuss project plans on the call this morning, and Microsoft didn't immediately respond to the request from the board for comment on the situation. Now, a little bit more on the ZeniMax organization trial report this morning. This morning, ZeniMax Online Studios told staff that their MMO project Blackbird was canceled and abruptly deactivated the team's access to Slack. 3 hours later, team members have no idea if they have jobs. They still have access to email and Teams, but have not heard from HR or management. Now, Ben Jones also posted over on LinkedIn, and I picked that one up. Ben Jones said, setting aside my own grief after today's tragic news and the loss of the most exciting and ambitious project I've worked on to date, my job and primary purpose is now to find homes for the spectacularly talented friends and colleagues that were let go from ZeniMax Online Studios this morning. As I've spent the last 7.5 years assembling this team, I have a deep understanding of their strengths/passions and where those might line up with your team's needs. We'll likely create separate posts for each department over the coming days. If you're in talent recruiting or just hiring for a project, please reach out directly. Our loss, really a profound loss of gaming, has the potential to be your game. I'm sure I'll have deeper thoughts to share on this experience over time, but I owe it to this remarkable team to help them find what's next. My DMs are open. Now, I believe I had done a ton of reporting on this project. There are a few projects in the works over at ZeniMax Online. Here's what I had reported, specifically from Ben Jones, that had previously discussed the project. We know, this is a little weird. Let's see if I can better zoom in. This is from one of my old videos. ZeniMax creative director Ben Jones has spoken about it publicly. It has been in development for 5 to 6 years. This was recorded in, I want to say, 2023. So they were nearing the year 7 or 8 mark. 200 people working on it in 2022. It's an all-new IP. Here's the job description. ZeniMax Online Studios is seeking a lead quest designer to join our studio for the development of our next AAA game. This is a chance to join an experienced group of developers in pre-production for a new IP. This role will collaborate with the lead content designer, the narrative designer, design leads, and the environment artist to drive quest content. A developer in this role serves as a key part of the content direction for a new IP and will drive a holistic approach to quest development that includes gameplay elements, combat, counter design, and scripting. So that was what they had described it as earlier on in the process. And one person also gave us some insight into what it was like today. Thomas Hope posted it on LinkedIn. Pretty sure I don't have a job anymore. Evaluations are appreciated, possible positions, and probably more so. I'm still very early in the process. I found out about 20 minutes ago. I was hearing that people were learning about this from Jason Schreier on Twitter quicker than they were learning about it online or internally. Andrew also posted, this is heartbreaking. This project was genuinely something special. Our union is doing everything it can to help affected folks. But please keep an eye out for the absolutely insanely talented devs that make it go forward. So that was happening. Another part of this is that Elder Scrolls Online has been impacted. Elder Scrolls Online director Matt Theodore, who helped launch ZeniMax Online Studios in 2007, is leaving the company. I believe this is his account, and this is what was posted. After more than 18 years, the ZeniMax Online Studios will be stepping away later this month. The studio of the Elder Scrolls Online will be in great hands under the direction of new studio head Joe Burba, along with executive producer Susan Caff and game director Rich Landry. Together, this leadership team has spearheaded many of BSO's biggest ideas and expansions, and will continue to make this game something we're all proud of. While I won't be working on the game anymore, I will be cheering on and adding to the thousands of hours that I've already spent in the game. There are many more stories to be told, adventures to be had, and I know this amazing community will carry the that shared legacy and success forwards. Thank you from Matt. So again, another person who is no longer ZenMax Online, and really this is just going to be pretty devastating for the entirety of the Microsoft team. It seems like everybody has been impacted, and it's pretty rough up there. There was this thread that I also found. So this is from, what's his name? Raj Patel. He's a director of marketing communications, and he's been just collecting this data apparently on industry layoffs. As we know, 2024 was quite bad. You can see total known headcount in this graph was 39,083. Total layoff waves 527. We track known layoffs when headcounts are not provided, and as you can see, July is probably going to see a significant spike. July is also non-traditionally when there's a lot of layoffs. They had 10 in 2024, 10 actually 2023. That's when the majority of them came, and then it just hasn't stopped. Layoffs have just continued, and this isn't Microsoft specific. You can see the top companies are listed over here. Microsoft as a company, like not just Xbox, has had 5,308, Unity had 3,115, EA had 2,687, Perfect World had 2,000. So we have Tencent in 1993, Sony had 1,827. Who else is on here? Embracer, ByteDance, Amazon, Take-Two, Epic. The layoffs. The layoffs are going to keep going. And I don't think we've seen the last of this from Microsoft. I don't think we've seen the last of this from the industry. It just hasn't stopped. It has been quite continuous. I remember when Microsoft announced the layoffs over at where was it? The Tango Gameworks layoffs and all the other layoffs. I remember being really upset and being like, yeah, this gets fired up. I think I'm just to the point where, we heard about Ben Studio, we heard about the Embracer layoffs, we heard about EA doing layoffs of companies like Respawn. Like, these are successful companies. Microsoft is a successful company, and it's not good enough. So, time and time again, we're hearing that Outer Wilds is coming along nicely, and then it's canceled. We get this cool trailer for Perfect Dark, and then it's canceled. And I was getting geeked today because I posted a video about the Xbox handheld and why I'm excited about it. And I want to play you a portion of that video really quick. Let me just break it up here. Now I have to say that all that excitement is soured by the rumor of massive layoffs in Xbox any day now. They could have happened after I posted this video. Rumor from reputable people in the industry are that teams across the globe are going to see sweeping changes, incredibly disappointing here, after reports of revenue growth and a stock price that surged. But at this point, if you're getting some good Xbox news, like this interesting new strategy, a swift kick in the nuts is right around the corner. Yeah, that's basically what happened. That's a VOD from my stream on Sunday, and it's just kind of like every single time, Xbox has some positive momentum going. Something like this happens, and it happens again and again and again. So it's a little exhausting after a while, and like even in that video that we were utilizing for, like I don't know what they were just using it for internet fun. It was really terrible to see, honestly. I call it out. I call it that this is bad behavior. It comes down to leadership, plain and simple. Let's take a look at what Mr. Matty Clay said. Mr. Matty Clay said the initiative closed down, Perfect Dark canceled, Everwild canceled, New ZeniMax Online Studios and IP canceled, 50% of Kingdom. Oh yeah, 10% of Kingdom. I never have to bring that one up. We know about the layoffs of Raymond, the Arcane Austin studio closed down, Tango Gameworks nearly lost forever, and Overdog Games closed down. studios closed down, Blizzard Odyssey canceled. So that's just since 2024. That's in what, a year and 6 months. It hasn't even been that long. So it does get harder and harder to give them any sort of benefit of doubt. I say all this recognizing that there are layoffs in the whole industry. We just went over that chart, but I mean, it's just brutal at Microsoft every time it happens because it impacts so many different teams. Like, they're the third place company with the most employees out of all the companies. Even before the Xbox layoffs, there was tension at Halo Studios. I'm personally super pissed that Bill told Gadget. At least 5 employees at Halo Studios have been fired as part of the company-wide plans at Microsoft, as they, according to the developer, response to the situation. An estimated 250 people remain in the studio. Employees across Microsoft's Xbox division received an email from Microsoft CEO Phil Spencer addressing the shift. I'm personally super pissed that Phil's email to us bragged about how this was the most profitable Xbox in the I wasn't sure about part of that, but it's supposed to be out. Stewart, it's less why he's been down his constant cadence. The movie is tense, especially when it comes to one project that was recently priced. I don't think anybody is really happy involved right now is that there's been a lot of tension. Todd's trying to drive the shows. Please. What it's been working on at this year's Halo World Championship in October. Great. I mean, like that soured a lot of Xbox in general feels really hard. And I think for a lot of this, it's at the time, multiple departments were working with the time Halo Studios and the people they work with. Cheers. Microsoft already had just layoffs will affect the last 3 quarters of companies workforce. A statement from the Microsoft spokesperson reads as follows: "We continue to implement organizational and workforce changes that are necessary to position the company and teams for success in a dynamic marketplace. They were already successful. The whole company is already successful. That's why this whole story is so hard to even discuss." Here's what Warren said to Gash over talking about. Warren acknowledged Microsoft confirms 850 layoffs in the Redmond Bellevue offices effective August 31st. That's 2025. Just want to make sure I had the year correct. So here's the thing. This is we're going to keep hearing about this, I think, for days and weeks to come. That's what Phil Spencer said. So this isn't over. There's going to be more of it. There was one article around that Phil Spencer was retired, reviewed it. No Microsoft and Xbox, Phil Spencer isn't stepping down. Here's the truth. Long story short, Frank Shaw, who is the Microsoft CCO, said, "So long as summed up, you mean basically implying that Tom Anderson proposed, which referred to this the Ghost of Hope post, which read, exclusive Phil Spencer retiring from the CEO of Microsoft Inc. After the launch of the next generation Xbox. Phil Spencer is working closely with Sarah Long and our team to ensure a smooth transition for her takeover. Microsoft, she retires on the clear, yet who would take over as president of Xbox and Sarah Long as the CEO of Microsoft Inc. By the CCO Frank Shaw. So some people might believe that Phil Spencer should step down. I did want to remark that Phil's 57. I asked him if he had any previously for retirement because he's about 5 years away from retirement already. So if he were to become age 62, I mean, he's retired in 2 years. He's retirement age in 2 years. Like he's retired. He's retired at 69. He retired at 62. I've been mindful of because it makes you sort of curious who's going to be next. And failures like this one do follow leadership. The one thing that really bothers me, I feel like a lot of this could have been mitigated with better policies for how to manage all the employees of all their studios when they were doing the purchase. Because a lot of people put this in the purchase. I think one criticism that I would put at the foot of Microsoft is we know that Bobby Kotick went from 1,000 to, I think it was like 1,700 employees, and then he asked like 600 employees, and then he went back up to 1,700 at one point. And it's just really unfortunate. So now all of that's getting shuffled around. Like if they didn't want me to hold up, they could have put that into the contract or something like that. But I actually don't know that this particular round of playoffs has much to do with Activision, especially because the teams at Activision seem to be the least impacted out of all of them so far. But like I said, we could learn more in the coming weeks and weeks to come further down the road. And then, Propulsion Games was also impacted. Propulsion Games creator we have a few. And so the Midnight Crystal Fair has also been affected by on their layoffs. Propulsion Games has been hit onto a slight number that's been reset era. Jason Schreier is the link to that story. And apparently executives will earn less this year. Also, Milana is the only CEO who decided it was best to not earn a single penny and then layoffs of thousands of people. And then I think that's it, honestly. And then I was just reading the post there. So that's kind of it to catch you up on everything that has happened. I thought I would do a quick live stream before we go on and just sort of leave it open. Did I leave anything out? Like, how about the fact that Microsoft is reporting record-breaking profits right now? Their stock is at an all-time high. Like, that's what's really frustrating. It's that the Perfect Dark project should have been canceled 3 years ago. There's been nothing but stories of turmoil and strife at that studio. Instead, they decided to bring on Square Enix, and now both of them have been impacted by this reduction. So, like, that's not better. That's certainly not better. I think that gets more people into this. And I would say the same thing with Evermore. What's Mike's commentary on it? He was talking on Kind of Funny about it. And he basically said that game should have been canceled 5 years ago. Like, we've known Everwilds in a bunch of turmoil. Instead, what did they do? They told us, Eurogamer back in February posted this. Yes, Rare's Everwild is still in development, and Xbox is committed to giving the team the time it needs. Apparently not. Like 4 or 5, what is February, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months is the time it needs. I just don't get why they would do that. Why tell us Perfect Dark's coming, it's looking great, the image of Phil Spencer playing Perfect Dark, we all know it's in trouble. Like, every report said the initiative was in trouble. It was impacted by COVID. It was never running well. And the repeating theme that keeps happening at Xbox is, we have a hands-off approach to how we handle our games. Maybe that's not working. Like, did you ever think maybe you should have a little bit more of a hands-on approach? That when a project takes 10 freaking years to get out the door, maybe you need to step in and say, what are you doing? Like, you need somebody to go into these studios and just say, what's happening? Like, what are the problems? And go solve the problems. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, if you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know my content goes live, especially as this will likely be developing in the coming days. Thanks so much to the members for supporting Christopher, Phil, Spinker, and Aries EMS for this link. But I do want you all to know that I greatly, greatly appreciate your supporting me and doing this thing. You want to support the patreon.com/SaveState Plus or become a member right here on YouTube. I'm going to get out of here before I go and check out parts 1 and 2 to the Layoff Saga, which is the latest, and this continues to relevant. Thanks for watching. Catch you for the next one. Bye for now.
There was a forklift accident before I hired Morgan. I did call a few other places. The other places denied helping me. I called Morgan, and they accepted me kind of like with open arms. They are for the people. They showed me that they were for me.
It has certainly been a couple days of surprises, but one thing I never would have had on my bingo card would be the idea that Helldivers would be announced for Xbox. But here we are. A new dawn is upon us. Super Earth is expanding its operations and opening new enlistment centers. Xbox players, your opportunity to enlist is coming when Helldivers deploys structures on August 26th. I'm as shocked as you are. So it would seem that former PlayStation exclusive that was long-standing is now coming to everything, including Xbox. They posted the following trailer. Let's give it a quick watch real quick.
Freedom. What is it worth? For some, the answer is simple. Everything. As our fiercest foes march towards extinction of freedom, now more than ever, we need more Helldivers. We need more recruits. Will you make the ultimate sacrifice? Now is the time to join the Helldivers.
That song gets me every single time it hits. That da 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 da. I had a great time with Helldivers 2. I played primarily on PC and via Steam, and I think it's a really, really good game, and I'm happy to see that Xbox fans are also going to get a chance to try it out. You can actually pre-order it if you choose to on Xbox, just like on every other platform. It is here for pre-order for $39.99. That's in US dollars. I can go to all the territories and see how much it costs on all the other platforms, but this is great. So in the last few months, Sony has reduced the amount of restrictions that you have in terms of where you are able to purchase your game in the world, meaning that if you're buying a game on Steam, they sort of got rid of the requirement. And I think that's because they just want more people than ever to play their games. In addition to all that, we got this post from the Helldivers 2 account, and it says, the other Helldivers will even the odds and show the bugs boxing squid the true meaning of democracy for dudes. We're sending more dudes. Hey, Helldivers, my name is Olympia. For 1.5 years, you've been fighting the enemies of democracy. And one of the requests that you've always had is for us to send more dudes. And the best way for us to be able to do that is to bring them on a platform to survive. Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. And this, of course, is something that we as students and students are. What does this then mean for you as Helldivers community? Well, it means that you'll be able to take Joe and run for his money. That you'll be able to take part together in the frontline battles against the evil oppressors of democracy and freedom. With that, I just want to say to all of you that have been with us over the last 1.5 years, help out the new players, getting into the fight so that they will become your brothers in battle. Finally, I want to welcome all of the Xbox players that are joining the ranks of the Helldivers. You together as a unified community will be the largest fighting force this galaxy has ever seen. And together, it is your responsibility to fight for man and democracy, freedom, prosperity, and our way. I like that message. It's very, very positive, and it's nice to see Hilston, I can't remember how to say his name, coming out and just saying, yeah, let's bring together the community and talk about it. Now, a lot of people talk about how this will actually have an impact on all of PlayStation, because if you go back on that far, Sony President Hiroki Toki says he wants to go aggressive in improving margins by going first-party on the platform. Several times. In the past, we weren't popular as console, and the first-party title's main purpose was to make the console popular. It is true, but there is a synergy to it. So if you have strong first-party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first-party can be on multi-platform, and that can help operating profit to improve. So that's another one we want to proactively work on. I personally think there are opportunities out there for improvements in margins, so I would like to go aggressive in improving our margin performance with each other. And yeah, let's just be clear. These business executives, they don't care about anything except for more money. So I think this is the smart alignment, allowing Helldivers to be multi-platform, and I do have to wonder if that will be something we see a little bit more of in the near future, given the fact that, Xbox is going to be doing this strategy where you can install Steam games onto their platforms, maybe PlayStation will just be like, well, at that point, you might as well just release it onto the Xbox ecosystem at the same time release it on PC. I don't know what's going on, but Helldivers is a really good kind of need to use for vision and strategy. So I'm very important to PlayStation platform for a while now, and Japan says, I always thought PC and maybe Nintendo was Helldivers too. It also means Xbox for certain games now too. And honestly, if Xbox platform is going to be Windows, and the whole idea is that it's easier to make games for Xbox going forward, maybe that will be a thing. I don't know. Interesting release date, and a lot of people pointed out that August 26, 2025 is the same day Gears of War Reloaded is going to go to PlayStation, and it's the same day Helldivers 2 is going to launch on the Xbox Series X and S. So kind of a cool.
These dishes just aren't getting clean.
Problem is, that's likely a detergent. I recommend switching to Cascade Platinum Plus. These new products dissolve completely, and after all, bringing down to 100% of tough stuck-on improvements. Cascade Platinum Plus.
If you're someone that suffers from having sensitive teeth, but you want them whiter, let's talk about Cincinnati Clinical White. It's going to lift the stains off your teeth to make them 2 shades whiter. Also, it's going to give you sensitivity protection and safe for your health. That is why I recommend it. Coincidence here, and I did appreciate how the community reacted to it. So for the most part, I saw a lot of people talking about how it's positive. Lou said, well, y'all are console war on the internet, these corporates are giving business luncheons. Yeah, make no mistake. Corporate people care about making money, so that is what they are going to continue doing. They're going to continue trying to make money. So like I said, forget the console wars, we have new recruits in a way to spread democracy. And that's sort of the whole vibe of Helldivers too. I do really appreciate that the community is welcoming the Xbox community with open arms, and it is really, really great to see people like Sirblind spreading positivity and just saying, let's get in there and fight for democracy. I wonder how crossplay is going to work. I think this has been a huge successful game for Sony, and it's great to see that barriers are coming down and more people will be able to play together, at least in this instance. I think it'll be a lot of fun for players to join together and play together. Even Push Square said the action Helldivers 2 on Xbox signals another unexpected but not overly surprising shift in strategy from Sony. War does change after all. Sony is bringing Helldivers 2 to Xbox consoles roughly 18 months after its release, and a move that signals another another unexpected strategy shift in an industry that never stands still. It's not the first PlayStation game to launch on Microsoft's machines, as MLB the show with that banded off earlier in the generation, but it's confirmed by Executive Studios boss Yoshida in a recent interview. This move was enforced by the league and PlayStation by the league. And PlayStation doesn't publish the game on other platforms. So It is good to see that Bush Square is basically saying, yeah, it does seem like this is going to be happening in the future. They close and come back to Studio Chief. Kermit Olsen recently said that Sony needs to be really thoughtful about bringing the franchise off consoles to its own audiences and applying that strategy of tying console exclusivity for tentpole single-player titles is set in stone. Nothing about this Helldivers 2 announcement signals a change in that tactic. Yeah, but I do wonder if it means that the PC titles are going to wind up on other ecosystems, maybe even Switch 2 in the near future. Time's going to tell what this means for PlayStation as an overall strategy, but I think Helldivers 2 is one of those games that I think even PlayStation fans would agree it makes sense that it would come to Xbox. I remember Phil Spencer posting about it, basically saying, how does this make sense to not release on Xbox? You're literally everywhere. So maybe like the Kine exclusive window thing is going to be how they handle these multiplayer games like Marathon to Xbox and everything else. So time will tell. Thanks for watching. Everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so when the content goes live. This will surprise me that people are live this morning, especially with the recent multiple layoffs at Microsoft. So, geez. Big thank you to Chris Brady for the launch of Aries EMS, as well as all of that who support me over here on patreon.com/SavePlus4. So if I become a member on YouTube, thank you so much. If you want to catch up on the Microsoft Impact layoffs, I'm preach for videos because so much news came in and it was coming in really rapid fire. So I sort of collected 3 different videos to Bill Spencer statement accurately and the totality of the situation. More may help with that, but I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye. It's getting easier to run on multiple platforms at once, so I am able to simply hit that go live button and start streaming, basically. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So, I mean, if you just want to sit here and chill while I sort of get set up with everything that I need to do, that's totally fine. It's that simple. If that's how we're going to do it. Yeah, I'm actually going to post it on Patreon. I think include Patreon and sort of the posting strategy. I think that will help. And I gotta do a social media post that is good to see everybody. The last late night stream went so well, and it was just a really chill vibe. But I thought I would do it again. We have a bunch of updates today about the Microsoft layoffs, unfortunately. I'm going to get into those in 1 second, and I really like what I was able to do those things in the stream. When I posted the VOD in the stream that we were recording together, and people were appreciating that because I did see some people complaining, not complaining, but like they're asking me to be gone through the content, and I'm like, okay, like that sounds good to me. Hopefully, at some point, everything gets to the point where I can just hire somebody to do the back end work, but I'm not anywhere close to being able to afford something like that right now. Yeah, gotta be making some real currency to find ways to apply your job with AI. Your company is already looking at it. The VMAX. I simplify a lot of the YouTube stuff, like tags and such with it. It is helpful. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so I want to copy that, post that. I'll just post it over on Blue Sky. Why not? I don't use Blue Sky that much. But, yeah. Why not? Let's see what happens. I have been getting some good posts over there because Blue Sky's like pretty easy for the most part. But a lot of news people like to post over there, so we get a lot of news over there. Sorry, I just saw a post about the house. It was just something I said about the house, which totally makes sense. A lot of people are talking about that. Sure, we'll get to that in just a second. I think I posted it. Yeah, we posted it. So you can actually get the real stream started. Thanks, everybody. We do appreciate you hanging out. Let me figure out the best way to position everything here. Maybe put the stream window there. And yeah, you know what's really crazy though? People have enjoyed these. I would consider them offer streams more than like smaller streams. I'm not getting YouTube chat, that will chat for some reason. That one's. I mean, YouTube's kind of one of the important chats. Let's see what's going on here. Is it like breaking or something? I'm just going to do a quick test. This is the last thing we do. Okay. I saw some posts over on Twitch. Thank you if you're watching on Twitch. Test that. Commands. Where are my timers? No, this isn't the right one. Well, I'll do the Nightbot later. I don't know what Nightbot I have in my chat right now, but it's posting a page from how's everybody going this evening? We are just letting people roll in right now as I sort of set up everything that I'm trying to set up here. Let me just log out and I'll log back in with YouTube. And we will see if this ends up working. Let's see here. So what's the name of posting right now? It's posting. Check out my Patreon perks. That's for commands. I want timers. Sport best on Patreon. Okay, yeah. New timer. Okay, so we're gonna say do this for 10 minutes. Sorry. Normally the starting screen would be up, but you want to see me sitting here typing for some reason. So this is what you're missing out on. Commentary. All the commentary. It's like not me reading chat. It's not me being entertaining. It's me doing all the stuff in the background and doing tweets and such. So thank you for hearing about it. We're just letting people get into the seat, so to speak. And then so there's gameplay channel. Alright, we'll just see if it works. So we got gameplay. Want to see Destiny game? It's up to his gameplay channel here. To watch him game regularly. Sure, whatever. My computer's being like the fans make this vibration. Okay, show's about to get started. Let's actually bring up the thing. They bought everything from the IP. Well, I guess we'll see. Oh, hello everybody. I see chat is working. Good to see everyone. So we tried a live for the next week last night, and we're going to do it again. I'm going to record some of the thoughts and such, so that I can bottom up anyway. And I just thought that we would do it in more of a live setting. You know, you guys were super supportive on the last stream. I really, really appreciated it. Diz Guy, good to see you on Twitch. Luke, it's been a while. Good to see you. And I'm going to get to it. So I'm going to go to presenter mode, and we'll be back. Interact with my chat. So, as the days have progressed, we have learned more and more about what happened over at Microsoft. There have been a lot of discussions and conversations about what this means to gaming, what this means to Microsoft, and the future of the company. One game we did learn more about is something called Project Blackbird. And that report is coming from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. Jason reports that Xbox executives were blown away by an upcoming game that they had canceled. Now, I kind of wanted to talk about this one for a very specific reason, namely because some of the announcements yesterday kind of made sense. The Perfect Dark one makes like a little bit of sense in that we had been hearing for some time that there were issues with the Perfect Dark game. We saw Video Games Chronicle talk about how insiders were describing fast and furious exits from Xbox's Perfect Dark studio. As much as half of the core development team have quit in the past year. Initiative management says it's confident in its team. Xbox's The Initiative Studio has seen a fast and furious wave of senior partners in the last 12 months. This was reported back in 2022. I remember making videos about this, and the game was going through a lot of issues. And the most damning thing was at the bottom where you could actually see the overall impact of departures and just how many people had come to the studio, felt like it was directionless or not getting where it needed to be, and they decided to leave, and then people would leave, people would come on, that sort of churn is normal at a studio, but this one felt different. Interviews with multiple former senior developers cited a lack of creative autonomy and slow development progress as the reason for their departures, as described. The wave of exits is fast and furious, with Project Omega said to be heavily affected. So I think there would have liked there were issues with.
Fix up! Truck Wonders. Don't worry, we got John Power sets. It traps, locks, and removes 99% of grease, so it doesn't get passed from dish to dish. And snapped 9 ducks in a row. New John Power sets.
Gatorade has the #1 electrolyte blend designed to hydrate and supply, made to dehydrate, replenish, and refuel, so you can lose the sweat
The 2026 CRV Trail Sport Vinyl. Introducing the latest addition to the Honda Trail Sport Vinyl. Our most capable CRV engine. Explore the CRV Trail Sport Hybrid at your local Honda dealer.
Try to discover the life in life with great deals on whatever. There you go. Perfect Dark, I think it is strange that they would invest all that money to put together a trailer, which we now know is legitimate. It actually is using slices of actual gameplay mixed in with cutscenes and such to demonstrate what they were going for. And honestly, it looked really, really promising, but maybe it was too little too late after years of development turmoil. Now, also talking about Everwild, I think we're all quite familiar that Everwild also had issues before Everwild restarted from scratch. We're now aiming for 2024 development now under new leadership. So, Cement over at Polygon reported Xbox fans wondering why Rare's Everwild didn't show up at Sunday's E3 showcase. Now, an answer: the studio has completely rebooted the open world adventure game under a new creative director and is releasing multiple years away, reports BBC. Now, beyond that, Jeff Grubb, a few years later, would also say that it was in development now. But if there's one game that I reported on a lot, and there was one bot that I found the other day, it was Project Kestrel. And for the most part, this project seemed quite interesting. Back in the day, I reported that Project Kestrel was from ZeniMax creative director Ben Jones, who has spoken about it publicly. He has interviews, and I have interviewed Brian Lee. And looked through that, and I looked through that interview, and then I took excerpts from it and talked about it. It's been in development for 5 to 6 years. 200 gig work in 2022, and it's an all new IP. And we know that it was press related and now we have a report from Jason Schreier. So let's dive into what that project actually looked like and what. Here's what he has reported actually in his article. That Xbox executives were blown away and that it didn't go down smoothly with mildly. On Wednesday morning, employees at the video game maker ZeniMax Online Studio noticed something strange. The executive producer and creative director of the next big game, codenamed Blackbird, no longer had active accounts on their internal chat program Slack. If you've never used Slack, the way it works is you can see a person's name, and then if their account's deactivated, it says deactivated next to their name. So you know something's going down or something weird has happened if that suddenly happens in your company. And obviously, over the last few days, apparently that's been happening a lot. We saw and discussed the posts from some employees who had talked about coming to work and not knowing if they had employment that day. Schreier continues on further down the story. A day later, they got an answer. They were in job purgatory. Late last year, staff had unionized, but they had not yet struck a contract. So Microsoft's lawyers had to negotiate with the union over potential severance packages for anyone who was losing their jobs. In the meantime, they would continue getting paychecks and remain ZeniMax employees. The union told staff on Thursday, QA staff who had a separate established contract receive severance packages as mandated by the agreement. So there was a lot of people talking about the positive impact of unions for this exact reason. But given the fact that CWA came out today and expressed disappointment for how Microsoft decided to handle this particular project, which, by the way, seemed like it was going quite well, and they were quite close to actually launching, especially because they played it back in March. During the demonstration in March, Spencer was enjoying the game so much that Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Game Studios, had to pull the controller away so they could keep the meeting going, according to two people who were in the room. Now, Bill Spencer is a big Destiny player, or at least he was. And the fact that Microsoft had something that was able to have quests, missions, and structures similar to Destiny, which Schreier also mentions in his reporting, is incredibly unfortunate to hear. I would have liked to see Xbox take a swing at that game, and I would have liked to see the people who have worked so hard on it actually see this through to completion. They continue on. Blackbird was a third-person online looter shooter, not unlike the popular game Destiny, set within a new franchise that had a sci-fi noir aesthetic similar to films like Blade Runner, and placed a heavy emphasis on vertical movement. Players could use abilities such as double jumping, air dashing, grappling hook, and wall climbing to fling themselves around tall buildings like superheroes. One of my favorite parts of the Halo franchise and the Halo game is actually using the grapple hook to go all over the place on maps and multiplayer. It's a big reason why I kept playing the game, so I could see something like that happen in something seconds upon that you find yourself playing over and over again. Jason says, I saw footage of Vertical Slice last night and was impressed. Please let me see this game. If somebody has a vertical slice, I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to say anything about it. I've been covering this game for like 3 years, not realizing it. Apparently, it was the Project Kestrel I talked about the other day. They just renamed it to Blackbird because Xbox. Oh, hold on. They changed the name in this story that Jason reports because they like Kestrel so much that that's what they wanted to name the game. Xbox executives were also blown away when they played Blackbird in March, according to people familiar with the game's development. Executives had nothing but complimentary words for the project. Now, I can appreciate that the game was canceled. We talked yesterday about Matt Burer, who was the studio boss and director. He immediately tendered his resignation when this happened. And nobody really got a good explanation as to why this particular project was canceled. It's unfortunate. When you look at Perfect Dark was having a lot of development issues. Everwild was having a lot of development issues. But this game is from a studio that's profitable. This is from a team that made Elder Scrolls Online. This is from a very profitable team that makes games that people find themselves getting lost in. And if they were going to make a sci-fi type game with a Destiny vibe, I would argue there's not a lot in the market competing with it. So something was going on that made them pull the plug on this one. And it's a bit unfortunate. So, chat, that's the part that will probably go live with an outro on it. But I don't have a ton to add to that story beyond that. That's what happened. It was big, and I think they had expanded to 300 people. ESO was still going on. But I'm not sure what happened with this particular project. The others two do make sense. But then beyond that, there have been a lot of conversations about why this happened. Like why all of a sudden out of nowhere Microsoft will come along and just sort of cancel this thing. Good to see everybody on X, by the way, everybody on Twitch, wherever you're watching things, if you're watching one of these late night streams. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out. Every once in a while, I will record like a little live. Hopefully it works out. Yeah, and we have a pretty healthy amount of current viewers. So thank you for joining me and watching the stream. I'm trying to find a link to something that I wanted to talk about in the stream today. These are the days that are really busy because we know that, well, it's easy to have things to talk about because there's lots of news happening. Not because a lot of people's lives have been negatively impacted. So, yeah. Games Media told us $80 games were great. Games Media, I don't know who you're talking about. No, I don't. Show me a link where something's like $80 games are great. I don't agree with that. Because as one of the biggest supporters of the ABK deal, are these layoffs surprising to you? We sort of talked about that yesterday. Any opinion I have on the Activision Blizzard deal or had earlier, it has no impact on what Microsoft's doing. That's actually a really good segue into the next story. So, the next story I was going to talk about was why this is happening.
Febreze. Love your plugins, but wish you had more second tools? Meet the Febreze Plug Set Booster. Enjoy the same 50 days of continuous sense Febreze Plug, including all the flexible placement options and a boost button for extra seconds. Febreze Plug Set Booster.
When vacation calls, Emergency supports your immune system with so much more than vitamin C. Be ready to dive in with Emergency. And for on-the-go immune support, try Emergency crystals. No water needed.
There's a reason professional eaters don't get invited to backyard barbecues.
What's this deal?
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm.
Hey, that's my hot dog.
Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
We don't believe in innovation, but in the sake of innovation. That's the guy that helps you see more, bring more, and do more. The all-new 2025 Ford Expedition.
Still talking a lot about Microsoft layoffs, and we have a few more details about what's going on at Microsoft and why this might be happening. There was this report from SeattleTimes.com, where they discussed Microsoft laying off about 9,000 employees in the latest round of layoffs. We're going to get into the Seattle Times story in just a second, but industry analyst Matt Pescadella chucked me with some interesting thoughts I wanted to go over. Because when you start diving into it, it's a little confusing. Even Phil Spencer in his memo says that they were doing great. They were having more players than ever before, and that they're doing well. So why have this happen? Here's what Matt said. Over the past 24 hours, I've received the "what does this mean for gaming" question on everything that happened yesterday and still happening today. It's been very tough to answer. The players and engagement are there. The revenues are there. This isn't a demand problem. Sure, there are nuances in the weeds, of course. Yes, the big live service behemoths taking so much wind out of the rest of the market is a huge challenge, as are pressures, particularly impacting younger players that are funneling them into free-to-play and more easily accessible games, as are looks at every and any other issue one could mention. But it's not a demand problem. What is so crushing and what makes one throw one's hands in the air is that a customer reportedly primarily doesn't help fund the building AI infrastructure. There's no reason how some big takeaway players in gaming here. This is something else. And perhaps the reporting is wrong. Maybe this wasn't the primary reason. In any case, it's incredibly difficult not to fall into despair in the industry for the players and people love video games. There are billions of players worldwide. The opportunity remains. So he's talking about how it's frustrating that AI is impacting this, and he links out to the Seattle Times article. Now, I thought originally that he was corroborating what Seattle Times is reporting, but Seattle Times just has a really solid story over here. So let's talk about this. I've read this story already. There was choice quotes that I wanted to discuss on this evening, today, when I watched this. As Microsoft cuts corporate rents, the company is investing heavily in AI. Microsoft's push in AI doesn't mean the company is replacing workers with the technology. Rather, the significant cost of building out the infrastructure over multiple years has Microsoft looking to trim costs where it can. During the company's 2025 fiscal year, which ended Monday, Microsoft said it planned to spend more than $80 billion on infrastructure to meet AI demands. That's a $25 billion increase in capital expenditures from the company's 2024 fiscal year. So you have to remember that is an increase in expenditure from years when they spent lots and lots of money. So they bought all those companies, and now they're saying, we are going all in on AI. The article talks about how Satya Nadella, with a few keystrokes, is able to have AI write a bunch of code that just creates things quickly. I think AI is accelerating things quite quickly. I do wonder if Microsoft is setting themselves up for major problems shortly down the line if AI is doing code poorly, or the code's going to need to be cleaned up, because they're getting lots and lots of people very quickly. But it does make more sense, at least. I still don't like it. Microsoft doesn't deserve any kudos. But the fact that they're investing $80 billion in AI makes more sense for the Project Blackbird AI, which I talked about, than it does to just shut down a project that otherwise seems to be going well. The story continues on. Microsoft's layoffs come after one of the best quarters ever, when it reported almost $26 billion in profit on $70 billion in revenue for January through March, handily beating Wall Street estimates. Yeah, don't forget their stocks like at all-time highs right now. The company's value also surged over the past few months, helping it overtake Apple as the world's most valuable company. NVIDIA, the computer chip maker that's fueled the AI race, took the top spot in early June. These layoffs are unusual in the broader history of American business, Laura said. Oh, this person is a business history expert, and she seems shocked by it herself. She is a University of Washington historian. These layoffs are unusual in the broader history of American business, Laura said. When you see thousands of workers laid off, it's been deindustrialization or companies' crisis. But these tech companies are the most valuable in human history. So they have more money than any company has ever had in human history. That's crazy. So this isn't about them suffering. This is about them having so much vast wealth that they want to invest it in crazy technological things like AI versus people. If AI is the centerpiece of what Microsoft and these companies are doing, then what it needs to buy is GPUs and data centers, Musk says. It might invest in people, but maybe instead of hiring 10 middle managers, Microsoft is hiring one extremely expensive AI specialist. Microsoft's CFO, Amy Hood, she always talks about the console sales going down. She hinted at the restructuring during the company's earnings call April 30th when addressing the company's margins. Microsoft was focused on building high-performing teams and increasing their agility by reducing layers of management. And that is via the Seattle Times. The thing is, they actually did studies to see if management was impacted. And it wasn't nearly as impacted as people thought it was. And some people have been pointing out that they're still hiring. And they said that you'll get top pick for the internal positions. Yeah, but like, is it a pay cut? Is it a different job? Why, like, if you're going all in on AI, why not people in AI jobs or whatever? Like, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But the idea that they want to focus all of you on AI versus a huge MMO and Xbox is getting paid because of it, that makes more sense to me than unceremoniously canceling these games and just having playoffs in almost every company. They even had a lot of partner games shut down. John Romero posted the following. John Romero said, "These people are the best people I've ever worked with, and I'm sorry to say that our game and studio were also impacted." So this is from Romero Games Limited. So we have some important news to share. Last night we learned that our publishers canceled funding for our game along with several other projects at other studios. It was a strategic decision that made it at a high level within the publisher level of visibility and control. We deeply wish there had been something, anything we could have done to prevent this outcome. This absolutely isn't a reflection of our team's work, performance, or the quality of the product itself. We hit every milestone on time, every time consistently, received high grades, and easily passed all our internal gates. We are incredibly proud of the work being done and of the talented team behind it, the best we can work with. We're currently evaluating next steps and working quickly to support our team. Many of us have worked together for more than a decade, some for 20 years. It's an extremely difficult day, and we're heartbroken that it's come to this. If you know of any opportunities or ways you can help our incredible team, please reach out. Thank you to everyone who's offered support and kindness and encouragement during this difficult time. So that's another example of just something unceremoniously being canceled. Now, as of this evening, Clinical Central is reporting that the NBA Kojima game we were playing yesterday to over there at the S channel in the evening. So you can check out the gameplay channel if you like. Anyway, OD is not affected by this. Just for Clinical Central reports. I've seen some speculation online that this game may also have been actually according to our sources. That is the case. It is still coming. So, I mean, time will tell. I don't feel super confident about much of anything right now. Like, even though general reports, we'll see. However, Kojima's basically doing everything, so maybe there's some small anyway, yeah, those were the good stories that I want to talk about tonight. Now it's just record the videos, and I'm like, well, I'll just go live. Destiny, why do you believe your Xbox future is bright? I think the future is going to be interesting, but I think obviously the timing is more when that video released. That video is a lot of and it's about the Xbox coming out. That's why I think it's interesting, and how I think it's a lot of the videos that I see online is very weird. Destiny look tired. I always look tired, but then you not yet. Not yet. I appreciate that very much. I'll take it under consideration. Stream tonight, I'm going to report some vibes over here today. You know, because you know all that. And see you later. I'm pretty happy with some of the people watching on YouTube. Also broadcasting on like a bunch of different platforms. Do you know the price you have for the Xbox? Yes, it's $4.97. Oh yeah, I didn't know what the Xbox how that was too. I mean, I did a whole video about that. But yeah. Today I heard some podcast for minutes $3, and that's an expensive game, so depressing. Yeah, I mean, we've been training people throughout this game. We've been training to get more for cheap. And I think Microsoft's one really doing that still. I know there are a lot of purists out there who really like the console exclusive experience. I think PlayStation purists really like that. I like that, dude. Like, I'm enjoying Death Stranding on the console. If I had the option, I would plan on using it every time. But yeah, Perfect Dark Phoenix, all the layouts aren't cool, but yeah, that's accurate, yes. Can you work with it as part of the issue? I'm not sure about that. That makes it worth it to stay subscribed to Game Pass. I'm not a fan of $1+ games based on full price. Yeah, I had a good conversation with the guy over there, Michael Nelson, I think is his name, and we talked about how we feel about that. I see that both works are coming at the same time. I want them to come different happen. I don't know. Some interesting news. We did learn Anthem will be completely unplayable. You missed it. EA is shutting down the servers on January 12th.
She said she wanna come to Toronto.
How long do I have to play Anthem? Basically, they're just shutting down servers in 2026. Why can't I play it in offline mode? It's on servers go offline. People no longer be playable. Just got the signatures on stock because maybe this is when we stop. And here's the thing about all this.
Ridiculous. Working
a lot of these things. There's going to be a lot of changes over the next few years. I think it's going to be a very odd time. I have to worry about this. Sideways, but they don't know what. Don't need no extra people. Is actually in deeper shape. shotgun games thing.
If you see,
Excuse me, if your son could do 10 push-ups right now.
VR, when you doing good and you really at peace with yourself, can't nothing touch you. And it seems like when you doing good, it be a whole bunch of shit trying to touch you, but it just can't. It just won't. That's when you know you own to something, baby. Ain't shit gonna get in the way.
Working with Brittany Howard is instrumental. Hey, y'all, hey. I'm going on vacation, so let's.
I don't think that's the case. Like if you have this marketing Project Blackbird and they just fire the whole team, I don't think that's targeting the parents. You know. Sometimes I just don't think that's accurate. I know it's accurate actually. The AI replacing jobs is a myth. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. The types of jobs will shift. I think that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, here's what Gordon says. He said, it's just sad to see what happens when big companies buy up great studios and job loss, except for being fast, which might not be making as much money. I don't think keeping things check. This is what sucks about money, so people don't know. Yeah, I do it. I kind of have it like exit to position on my screen so that I sort of do that screen space. With the S window, I'm doing everything. So yeah, but I do check it. I try to check it lots of times. Yeah, so here's the thing. I know all of this is bad. But at the end of the day, the guy who owned the company bought it, love him or hate him. He wanted to sell the company that he bought. He wanted to get out. And he sold it to the people who gave him the most money. And that was Microsoft. And all the people who worked for the guy who wanted to sell the company agreed to sell the company at the price that they sold. So, I don't like what do you think would be an alternative? That people that want to sell their business should be prevented from doing so. So Bungie, when they were 45% behind on their revenue, should have been prevented from allowing Sony to purchase them and create their content. Like it would be the same argument. The Sony deal with Bungie saved Bungie, according to Bungie, former Bungie employees, I think said that. So I think there's a lot of people out there, and I'm just another guy out there too, giving my take on the whole situation. Who are like, you shouldn't be allowed to do this. The FTC tried to sue them, and their case was so piss poor that it didn't happen. The FTC had the worst case out of anybody who had a case against them. I would argue that the cloud argument that they had in the UK and the EU, that was a very strong case, and the whole thing almost got shut down because of it. it wasn't because they were, and let's be clear here, it wasn't because they were worried about the employees. It wasn't because they were like, oh, this is going to have a negative effect on the games. I mean, the FTC tried hard to have it further. It was because they thought they would have a monopoly in the cloud sector. So, at the end of the day, one big company wanted to sell to another big company, and the FTC relied largely on another big company saying that the bigger company with a smaller market, like, their case was just flat. Their case was flat. And I remember when I was covering it, I'm like, why don't you actually focus on the employees? Like,